Just how well do you trust your super funds? In 2024, the top performing funds outperformed the average by a whopping 6%, a difference of potentially hundreds of thousands of dollars over a working career. Would you rather retire in Alice Springs or the Sunshine Coast? In this video, I'll help you avoid the losers and pick only the winning funds by sharing the top performing super funds for 2025. Stick around to see which funds top the list and how you can start benefiting right now. Super funds can be categorized into 5 groups, each investing in a different ratio of safer and riskier assets. So they sit on a spectrum. On the left-hand side, we have safer assets, so these funds invest in more cash deposits and bonds. These tend to have less price volatility, so this is where the conservative and moderate funds sit. Over on the right-hand side are riskier assets like stocks and real estate that see a bit more volatility. So here we can find the growth and aggressive funds. Investors hope that the greater volatility leads to greater returns over the long run. In between the two extremes of safer assets and riskier ones, we have the appropriately named balanced funds. These are a yin and yang situation with the best of both worlds, balancing both safer and riskier assets. In this video, we'll split the breakdown by risk level, so we're comparing apples with apples. Every quarter, Morningstar produces a superannuation report that analyzes the past performance of Australia's multi-sector super funds. This gives us an objective after-tax and fees view of how over 340 super funds have performed over the past 1, 3, 5, and 10 years. Morningstar's latest report was released in December, looking back on the September quarter. Newer funds will often have missing data for the latter years, as they haven't existed long enough. So this explains why there's fewer options in, say, the 5 and 10-year performance data. Let's start by taking a high-level view before getting into the individual funds. Here we can see the average return after taxes and fees for the 5 super groups we covered earlier. As we discussed, conservative and moderate funds have a higher ratio of safer assets, while the growth and aggressive funds lean more towards the riskier assets. Stocks had an exceptional 2023 and 2024, with the Australian and American indices up 16% and 53% respectively. This favoured the riskier growth and aggressive funds over the past year. As you can see, aggressive funds saw a whopping 17% return over the past year, while the safer conservative funds made a still respectable 7.8% return. If you had $100,000 invested in an average conservative fund over the past year, you've missed out on around $10,000 in investment returns. The past year has been exceptional for riskier funds, but just like clockwork, as we look over to the 3 and 10-year performances, as funds get riskier, so too does their average return. So if you're looking for the highest performing super funds on offer and have a few decades until retirement, you may want to look into your aggressive fund options. It pays, of course, to do your own research and make sure that what you choose aligns with your investment goals. So with that, let's now take a look at these funds. Let's kick off with the conservative funds. These funds have a high ratio of defensive or safer assets as compared to the latter fund groups. Morningstar took a look at 8 conservative funds and just one stood out. The OnePath Frontier Pendle Monthly Income Fund has performed the best, topping the 1, 3, 5, and 10-year average returns for a conservative fund. It's also the smallest fund in this list, with just $7 million invested. Colonial First State and Brighter have trailed closely behind over the 3, 5, and 10-year periods. ANZ and the Emergency Services and State Super have come up short in the published figures. Overall, conservative funds have performed extremely well over the past year, historically speaking. While the return usually hovers around the low single digits, the 1-year returns averaged a whopping 7.8% this year. Make sure to watch right to the end, however, as one of the aggressive funds generated over 23% returns for the year. So let's keep moving. Now we're up to the moderate funds. In this picture, they're referred to as cautious, which is a better description as we still have a low but growing weighting towards growth or riskier assets. Morningstar compared 54 funds with several providers represented at the top of the tables. Vanguard Life Cycle funds are relatively new, but they've topped the 1-year returns with about a 12.5% return apiece. Over 3 years, Spirit's conservative fund was on top with 3.8% returns, closely trailed by Care, Hester, Art, and UniSuper. Hester's conservative super fund topped the 5 and 10-year tables, especially so over the 10-year time span. Art wasn't far behind across the 3, 5, and 10-year time horizons as well. Care, Vision, NGS, and Brighter also featured across the longer terms, up there with the best of the moderate funds. On the other side of the coin, Zurich and Australian Ethical had some of the worst performing funds in this group. Their performance is consistently among the worst, all the way from 1 year through to 10. Now we've reached the midway point, balanced funds. Here you can see that generally they keep things 50-50 between both growth and defensive assets. There is a big leap in the proportion of stocks relative to the moderate funds, so the returns jump up a bit as well. Morningstar took a look at 86 funds here, with 6 dominant providers. Over 1 year, Colonial and Vanguard dominate the top 5. Colonial's moderate fund generated 16.7% returns, while Vanguard's age-stepped funds both generated above 15%. Beyond the 1 year returns, Hostplus Conservative Balanced Fund topped the 3, 5, and 10-year returns by sizable margins. West States MySuper trailed in second place for their 5 and 10-year performance. Prime Income slotted into second for their 3-year returns. Other strong providers for balanced funds include Arts, Vision, and Colonial. Zurich once again stands out for their consistently poor performance out to 10 years, joined by Art's Lifetime Sustainable Funds and Colonial's Perpetual Diversified Growth Fund. Now we'll take a look at growth funds, where things start to get a little bit more interesting. Roughly 70% of the assets in these funds is weighted towards riskier assets like stocks and real estate. Morningstar looked at around 120 funds here, and it was a mixed bag of performance. Colonial's Enhanced Index Growth Funds topped the 1 and 3 year tables with 20% and 7.4% returns respectively. Art featured across all time horizons, with their Balanced Index Super doing well for the 1 year, but the Balanced Super doing well for 3 years plus. The Lifestyle Balanced Super also appeared for the 3 and 10-year returns. Brighter Balanced Super Fund topped the 5-year performance table with an 8.1% return, and Hester came out top over 10 years with an 8.9% average return. While Hostplus mainly topped the balanced funds, they were just outside the top 5 for the 10-year, but featured strongly for the 3 and 5-year horizons. And finally, we've reached the aggressive funds with the highest weighting towards risky assets. Here we find the top performing super funds, as stocks had an exceptional year. Morningstar looked at 85 funds here. The top performing super fund over a year was the Colonial Enhanced Index High Growth Fund, with a return of a whopping 23.1%. It also topped the list for the 3-year performance, generating an average return of 8.9% a year. MLC Aggressive Funds came in 3rd and 4th over 1 year, but rose to the top 2 slots over 5 and 10 years, generating returns well over 10% over both time horizons. Today, over $4 trillion is invested across all super funds in Australia. According to Super Guide, AustralianSuper is the largest fund provider by both assets and members, with over $300 billion under management and 3.2 million super members, around 14% of all super accounts. They are followed by Art, Rest, Hostplus, AwareSuper, and Hester, all having over 1 million members. Notable mention must go out to UniSuper, with the 4th most assets under management, and the public sector superannuation scheme with an average balance of about $500,000 per member. To wrap up everything discussed in this video, there are some standout super fund providers to look out for in 2025. Colonial Super has been a standout among the top funds for the 1 and 3 year time horizons for moderate, balanced growth and aggressive funds. Hester are a top performer over long-term moderate funds, while Hostplus has the same ranking for their balanced funds. Alongside Colonial, you also have dependable returns from Hester and Art growth funds over the longer terms, and Rest, Mine and MLC for their aggressive funds. It all comes down to your preferences, and we're taking a relatively simplistic view in this video by just looking at the funds with the top returns. Make sure to do your own research to ensure the funds meet your investment goals, and use this video simply as a starting point to begin your research. Make sure to check out some of my other great Australian investment content somewhere around here, and subscribe down below to see all of my future content. Thanks for watching, and I look forward to catching you on the next one. Cheers.